This is the social learning model. This is the psychology model for you. This is based on Albert Bandura's work at Stanford University. He's going to win a Nobel Prize in psychology. He's written books on modeling and self-efficacy. We all, as psychological beings, model other individuals and their attributes and their behavior either cognitively or unconsciously. We model other individuals in their behavior and in their speech patterns. And Bandura basically said, and actually he did a study where he had two groups, a control group and an experimental group. He brought together a group of kids. The control group was basically brought into a room, they watched TV, and they basically were watching a clown, okay? Playing with the clown, laughing, all, you know, those types of things. The experimental group were kids basically watching TV, and the clown was getting beat up, okay? So when they let the kids out into a room with a clown, the control group went out and started hugging the clown, right, and playing with the clown. The other group, the experimental group, ran out and started beating up the clown. So we are basically just, we basically see behavior, positive or negative, and we emulate it, either consciously or unconsciously. Once you recognize that, what you do is you identify models who have attributes that you want to emulate and create an ideal and a target self in which you want to aspire to. And I know you do what you all do because you don't want to be students the rest of your life. You want to be professionals with power and prestige and the economics that comes with being a professional within the corporate world. I know you do. But you're here. This is your actual self. This is your ideal and target self. How do you close the gap? How do you close the cognitive dissonance between the two? The way you do it is through the process of self-efficacy, through the process of trying, through the process of failing. And you don't look at failure as a genetic predisposition. You look at it as a lack of information and a lack of perseverance in trying until you do it and you get exactly what you want by doing it. It's not genetics. It's basically perseverance and lack of information. So an example is I got two different types of individuals. I run into them all the time. It's like, Professor Sousa, I want to be a salesperson and I want to be a manager. I'm a people person. I don't like the math and the science and the analytics. I want to be out there, I want to be selling, I can sell to anybody. My parents were in sales, they were people person, they were extremely successful. I want to be just like them, and I've seen their success. I'm going to leave the science and the math to somebody else. Then I have the science and math people over here that say, well, you know, I really don't like people, I want to be an analyst in the back. You know, I'm really good at science and math, I have a genetic predisposition towards math and science. I don't really like the sales and the management side of it. I've seen people be successful over here, I'm going to stay over here and I'm going to leave that to other people. But the true people that are the most successful is they totally recognize the conditioned responses and the areas in which they came in and created a comparative advantage and work on the other side because they know it's not genetic predisposition, it's just a lack of information and perseverance, and they become both at both. They become both at both. And you really see it in people at the very top of the game, and you see it in individuals from the top schools. Okay? They totally recognize it, they totally see it. So self-efficacy, failure is not a genetic predisposition, it's from a lack of information and a lack of perseverance and persistence. So the most important thing about recognizing this model is that you at some point will be able to walk into a room and you will have the persona, the personality, and the presence to command attention. And you will be dressed. The first thing that we'll do in 3 seconds is sum you up based on the way that you're dressed. So based on the persona, personality, presence, and dress, coupled with the command of language and communication, you will have the charisma to become a leader. And once you have the charisma and become a leader, you will then have the power to persuade other individuals to do things that they otherwise don't want to do. Because people at some point are not motivated by money, they're motivated by love. And they're motivated by working with other individuals that are going to make them happy. And what will happen is you will end up becoming a model for other individuals. And they will come to you, and they will be attracted to you, and they will ask you and beg you to take them with you on your journey. And you will have to decide what individuals you want to take with you and which ones you want to leave behind. And it's heartbreaking to be able to leave people behind that maybe you love. But unfortunately, they've exhibited maybe neurotic or psychotic or even pathological behaviors, and you just can't afford to take them with you. You just can't. The next model is to be able to actually do all of this stuff, is you have to be extremely organized in what you do. You have to have a strategic plan, a 5-year plan with your goals and objectives ranked from high to low, and you have to update your 5-year plan every year. Then you need to take the first 3 years, break them down into 6-month increments or quarterly increments, and put your goals and metrics here, your measurable metrics in here. Then you have to set out an operating plan, and this is the perfect time because January's coming around, where basically you lay out your 12-month calendar and you start marking the milestone dates that you need to hit and start backing in to those dates and start to allocate time out to be able to hit those dates that you need. The next is the weekly plan, which is the most important. And you need to go out as far as you can, basically hacking out time and seeing where your available time is. Now, you have plenty of time. Everybody said, a lot of people I hear, I just don't have time. Well, you don't have time because you're not organized. Once you lay out the plan, between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, that's your free time. Between 8 and 9, that's where you go to work or go to school or whatever it is. From 9 to 12, that's when you're working. From 12 to 1, that's open time. From 1 to 5, you're working. From 5 to 6, you're going to where you need to go. From 6 to 11 is your open time. You have time. You're just not organized. The last two models, and I can probably do them in the 4 minutes that I have, is if you stick to the program, you are going to accumulate capital. You are going to become wealthy, okay? But that's if you stick to the program. The problem is people are always chasing yields and they take too much risk. Or they're chasing yields and not looking at the risk and they get their money stolen. Happens all the time. I've seen it. So you have to have a plan. The plan is that this is your aggressive investing. This is your safe investing. You want to be aggressive in your qualified accounts, your 401ks, and your IRAs. You want to have 25% of your wealth going into the qualified accounts, and then any money that's left over, and at some point in time you're going to make too much money, and you're going to phase out of the 401ks. You're going to make too much money. So you can be thrown into the non-qualified or the after-tax realm. And where are you going to put your money? You're going to put it in stocks, in bonds, in real estate, in businesses, up to 50%. And then what's going to happen is your real estate, your stocks, your bonds, you know, are going to shoot up in value over time, and you're going to go from 50 to 70%. You're going to sell off to 20% and bring it below the line into the safe after-tax realm, and you're going to create an annuity that's basically going to pay an income to you for the rest of your life so you can live at a very high standard, and you're going to asset protect it, and you're going to create vehicles and structures to be able to leave it to your kids and your family tax efficiently and tax effectively. Here is going to be muni bonds and life insurance and guaranteed annuities. The tools to accumulate wealth: risk management strategy, investment strategy. Under the risk management strategy, the life insurance. I don't believe in life insurance. Really? Well, why did the rich people basically invent it in Europe and utilize it and take advantage of it on the East Coast and, you know, here on the West Coast? The product wouldn't be invented unless it was extremely valuable. But I hear it all the time from my students. I don't believe in life insurance. Really? We'll tell it to the rich people. Because they buy a lot of life insurance, term insurance. They convert it to whole life insurance that accumulates cash value tax-free. Okay? And then once they pay off the life insurance, it's permanent insurance that's guaranteed to pay out to their heirs. Brilliant. And then you have long-term care insurance that's going to take care of you and pay out when you can't do 2 daily functions and you go into a home. And if you don't have it, Your kids are going to have to take care of you, and you're going to probably have to spend all of your wealth taking care of you or your wife or your spouse in a congregate care facility. And once you burn through your money, you're going to burn through your kids' money, okay? Unless you have it. And since you're going to be executives within your company, you're going to need disability insurance. Since you're investing in real estate, you're going to need property casualty insurance. If you don't have it and the building burns down, you're going to probably have to replace it, or you're going to default on the mortgage and the bank's going to take your property. And then you're going to need business umbrella insurance. If you're going to be running a company and you're a senior executive, people are going to try to sue you and take your money. On the investment side, you're going to be investing in the qualified side, 401ks and the self-directed IRAs. You slap on the guaranteed investment protection riders that are going to protect you from the downside. You roll some money into a guaranteed future income annuity that's going to pay out guaranteed for the rest of you and your spouse's life. And then when you're 80, 90 years old, you probably do fixed annuities. Then you're going to invest money in a stock brokerage account for liquidity purposes. When you liquidate to buy the car or down payment on the house, you're going to pay the capital gains. And then the rich people love to put money into these variable annuities and the after tax because there's no limit to the amount of money they can put it in. It's going to basically accumulate tax deferred, and they're only going to pay taxes when they pull the money out. And if they do pass away, it's going to go to the heirs at a stepped up basis and circumvent the state taxes and the taxes. So you're going to accumulate assets outside the trust and inside the trust. When you turn 70, 80, 90 years old, you're going to put your real estate and your securities and the shares within your company in an irrevocable trust. Because when you die, it's going to go to your heirs at a stepped-up basis, and you'll circumvent taxation. And then you're going to have all these business interests and real estate interests over here that are outside the irrevocable. And here, when you pass away, it's going to trigger a taxable event. And unless you have the money to pay the taxes, you're going to have to liquidate these assets at a deep, deep discount. And 9 times out of 10, what happens is that the money from the sales is not going to cover the taxes. So your parents or whoever left you these assets, which was not really an asset, as a liability. So the question for you is, do your parents and your grandparents have all of this stuff set up? There's all kinds of taxes that you're going to have to deal with. I personally love taxes, but Uncle Sam, you've got to be able to get around the taxes. Okay. And my last thing that I recommend to you is you need to get a will, okay, with a medical directive in it. So that if something ever happens to you and you go into a hospital and they have you on life support, that basically your parents don't have to burn through all of their wealth to keep you alive when the prospect of you actually living is really low. So that they can basically pull the plug to basically save everybody around you instead of being pulled down into the situation. You need a living trust if you have assets. It will circumvent probate. And it makes the distribution very effectively, but you're not going to get the stepped-up basis. And then you have irrevocable trusts. Charitable remainder trusts, which are extremely efficient in pulling money out of your assets. And then when you die, the asset goes to the charity. And then these are the two that I love the most, are the dynasty and the generation skipping trusts. This is when you get the call from your mom on a Saturday morning that basically tells you that you're not going to get any of the estate, and that the estate is all going to your kids, the grandkids. And then there are intentionally defective trusts that are really designed for special family situations and family offices and international families that have international tax treaties and trust treaties to be able to create efficient structures for asset protection and distribution and mitigation and taxation. So thank you very much for everything. I hope you enjoyed the class. I will do whatever it takes to help you out. References, letters of recommendation, internships, jobs, business partnerships if you're interested. And if you're interested, I'll be your friend, okay, if you want me to be your friend. Now I'll warn you, I'm like an old dog. Okay, you can put me out on the stoop, in the rain, right? But when you come back the next morning, I will be there, okay, for you. Okay, all right. So that's all I got. So eat some pie, take some chocolate. give me your deliverables.